there's someone inside me who believes in me.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, and oh boy, much more cooler and edgier version of Jaden is finally here. So yeah, Jaden Yubel is finally in Duel Links. So this is the version of Jaden that appeared in the anime when he actually fused his own soul with Yubel. So keep in mind that this is a completely different character from the usual Jaden in this game. So that also means that this version of Jaden has his own Ace Master. So yeah, this Ace Master's mat will be farming today, so I'll be showing you the deck just in a moment here. Now, currently this version of Jaden is suffering from split personality disorder for obvious reasons, right? But I already thought that we had Jaden previously in this game who is suffering from that when he was using Master of Magicians, but apparently I was wrong, because it was not canon. But this particular version of Jaden is canon. So and although we have two different versions of Jaden in this game, well, they both still have their hair that looks like a Karibo or something like that. But anyway, let me show you actually the deck. So yeah, Jaden Yubel's Ace Monster is this big freaking huge guy, Elemental Hero Divine Neos. Now, I've seen some monsters in this game who have some pretty ridiculous summoning requirements, but this one, by far, takes the cake. Now, listen to this. Must be fusion summoned using any 5 Neos, Neospace, Neospatian, or Hero monsters, including at least 1 Neos or Neospace monster, 1 Neospatian monster, and 1 Hero monster, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Now, that was a mouthful. Yeah, the summoning requirements for this particular monster are pretty ridiculous, pretty insane. They are not practical at all, like in any deck in this game, but yeah, today we'll be farming the mat for him, and before I thought that it will be kinda impossible to create a nice and consistent deck to farm for the mat for this monster, but actually this current deck that I'm using here is actually pretty nice. So keep in mind that there is a better version of this deck, which uses Callan and his skill, which is called One Card Wonder, which lets you draw 2 cards in draw phase. So in that version of this particular deck, you could actually double the number of summons of Divine Neos. But here's the thing about the One Card Wonder, that's a pretty risky skill. You have to kinda manage your draws, your draw phases very carefully, so I don't advise you to actually use One Card Wonder for this deck, simply because you could screw yourself over super easily that way. Of course you can use it, you know, but this version that I'll be showing you currently today is much more safer version. This version lets you summon Divine Neos 9 times per duel. So as you can see, yeah, we have a couple of monsters in our deck. So we have here Elemental Hero Neos Alias, we have 3 copies of Destiny Hero Duel Dark, and we also have Neospatian Dark Panther. So these 5 monsters are here just to fulfill the requirements to summon Divine Neos, you know. These are these fusion parts for this monster. We also have Elemental Hero Ocean here. Now this card won't be a part of Divine Neos, so keep that in mind. We need the Elemental Hero Ocean here so that we can actually return Divine Neos back to the extra deck. As you can see, this card says that it returns 1 hero monster that you control or in your graveyard to the hand. But for whatever reason, if you return Divine Neos to your hand via this monster's effect, it actually returns it to the extra deck. Now keep in mind that I actually tried, instead of Elemental Hero Ocean, to run here Sweat Frog, because Sweat Frog actually does the same thing like Elemental Hero Ocean does for this deck. But for whatever reason, I could not return to the hand, well, in this case to the extra deck, my Divine Neos for whatever reason with Swap Frog. I could only accomplish that goal with Elemental Hero Ocean. So, so yeah, that was kinda odd. And yeah, keep in mind about all these other fusion materials that I have here for Divine Neos. This is just my preference of monsters that I'm using here. You could use your own preference, it doesn't matter too much. So now, skill-wise, I'm using Jaden Ubel here. As you can see, I don't have any useful skills for him that would aid this deck here. But I advise you here to actually set Draw Sense Water, basically use a character who has it, simply because of Elemental Hero Ocean, who is water, and yeah, you can draw it faster to your hand, and you can place it on the board so that it acts as your barrier, you know, so that you do not die. So I'm using Jaden Ubel here, well, just because of the cool summoning animation, but usually, yeah, you would be using some other character who would actually aid your deck, you know, with his skills. So okay, next 3 cards here. 3 spell cards are super important here. So first we have Polymerization. So we'll be using this card to actually properly summon Divine Neos. Basically, when all of the materials are on our field or in our hand, we'll be polymerizing them, you know, to summon Divine Neos. After that, we'll be sending Divine Neos back to the extra deck via Ocean's Effect. And after that, we'll be using Miracle Fusion to actually use all these fusion materials that are currently in the graveyard to summon Neos again. So, and after that you'll be using Ocean again to return it to your extra deck. And after that, we'll be using Parallel World Fusion, because currently your monster cards will be banished, and Parallel World Fusion actually places all these banished cards back to your deck. So our first goal is fulfilled, so we are not decking out. And the second goal is that we can actually use Parallel World Fusion to actually summon Neos again, you know. So also to create our loop here, we also have a Recycle here, also so that we are not decking out, and to place all these free fusion spell cards that we need actually back to our deck. So next we have 3 copies of Legacy of Yate Garasu and 3 copies of Jar of Greed, just for the drawing power. And also we have 2 copies of Good Goblin Housekeeping. They're not the most important cards in the world in this deck, but they actually help you to place the cards that you do not need at the bottom of your deck. Like, for example, you won't be needing a Parallel World Fusion as your first fusion spell card, you know? You will have to use it actually as a last fusion spell card, so you can place that at the bottom of the deck. And yeah, these Good Goblin Housekeepings are here to help you out with that. So, and yeah, the last 2 cards, of course, are Graceful Tear, so that we could give our opponent something that he's not decking out, and that something is Localized Tornado. So, and also Graceful Tear helps here so that you gain life points, so that you can actually use Recycle, you know, because to use Recycle you have to pay your own life points. So, but yeah, that's the deck. So 9 summons per duel. Let's go. Now, of course, if you're speaking about these legendary duelists, once again, I advise you to use Bonds, level 10, simply because he's the most easiest legendary duelist to deal with. But in this particular case, I was a bit sick of Bonds, I was a bit sick of abusing him, so I was using Paradox Brothers, simply because they appeared in GX anime, and that's pretty much it. So alright, let's check out our duel replay here, and let's summon our elemental hero, Divine Neos, as much as possible in a duel, shall we? So keep in mind that sometimes you won't even need to have to use your Draw Sense Water skill, because we have actually decent amount of monsters in our deck, so we can just summon them right away if we have them in our starting hand, you know. Like, for example, here we can just summon Jewel Dark instantly. So notice how I used my Good Goblin Housekeeping to bring Miracle Fusion back to the bottom of my deck. Simply because so that when we'll have parallel world fusion, we could use our second government housekeeping to then bring parallel fusion to the bottom of our deck. So basically, yeah, these two fusion spell cards will be at the bottom of our deck simply because we have polymerization in our starting hand, and we kinda don't need them for now. So, but yeah, let's just keep on drawing cards, and that's pretty much it. So yeah. And yeah, by summoning Drill Dark, we used actually his effect to summon one more Drill Dark. So, and yeah, let's fusion summon our elemental hero, Divine Neos. The most ridiculous monster in the entire game, with some ridiculous requirements. But yeah, the summoning animations are pretty awesome in this game, so... But yeah, elemental hero Divine Neos has been dropped onto the field, and yeah, now let's just set up our recycle here, because we are kinda low on cards. And also don't forget to give your opponent the Localized Tornado via your Graceful Tear. So yeah, let's summon Elemental Hero Ocean. Let's return Divine Neos back to our extra deck, and yeah, let's use Recycle to actually bring back to the deck our fusion spell cards. So, and yeah, let's summon again our elemental hero Divine Neos. This elemental hero has some insane and kick-ass surprises of his own, because like I mentioned before, he's the most ridiculous monster summon in this game, at least so far. You know. So, but yeah, basically how our loop works. First we use polymerization to fuse all our materials which are in our hand or in our field to summon Neos. Then we bring Neos back to the extra deck by using Ocean's effect. Then we use yeah, Miracle Fusion to bring Neos onto the field. Miracle Fusion banishes your materials from the graveyard. And then after that, we use Ocean's effect again to yeah, place Divine Neos to the extra deck. Then we use Parallel World Fusion to shuffle all the banished monsters back to our deck, you know, so that we can summon Neos again. So basically that's how that loop is created. So sometimes, like you already saw here, there will be some instances where you would need to place something in your deck when you just have all these fusion spell cards already in your hand. So I advise you to place there one copy of Jar of Greed, simply because Jar of Greed is really helpful when you have all the fusion materials in your deck, and when you're just stalling, you know, you're just drawing them, and then you can just use your Jar of Greed to draw all these monsters much more faster, you know. So yeah, I actually like this fusion loop. It works really great. When I found out about this, I was kinda amazed that something like that can actually happen in this game. So it basically acts like a circle, you know. So you might think, why not some other Divine Neos summoning method, right? Like, for example, I don't know, flip summoning, or just cheesing him out by ignoring his summoning conditions or something like that. But keep in mind that Elemental Hero Divine Neos is a fusion monster, and whenever there is a monster who has some specific requirements to summon it, only that particular thing will count towards his proper summon for the match, you know, if it makes sense. So yeah, in Divine Neos' case, you have to properly summon him each and every time for the summon to actually count towards the match, you know, if it makes sense. So yeah. Cheesy summoning methods only work for monsters who don't have some specific requirements written on them, but monsters who usually have these specific requirements are usually fusion monsters, ritual monsters, and synchro monsters, so for the most part. So, But yeah, we are almost done here, so we are approaching our final turn, so let's fusion summon Divine Neos for the final time here. I fusion summon my elemental hero Divine Neos! The most ridiculous monster in the entire game, with the most ridiculous requirements to summon him! Divine Neos, it's your final time to shine in this duel. Use your Divine Fist of Fury! And here we go. So yeah, basically that's how this deck works in action, so yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed it. So, okay, and now let's see how our mat actually looks like. So yeah, after summoning Divine Neos, or should I say Elemental Hero Divine Neos, 100 times in total, you gain access to yeah, this awesome and glorious game mat. Yeah, it's actually one of the best game mats in my opinion in the entire game, so looks pretty neat. So, but yeah, as you can see, the deck is not the fastest deck in the world, only 9 summons per duel, but it's pretty fun to play around with. It's yeah, pretty fun to get the hang of it, get the gist of it, and whatnot. So playing around with it actually goes by pretty quickly, so you'll get that mat pretty fast. So so yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and good luck on your farming. Cheers!